Hey, what is up, everybody? I am finally back to do my Halloween Horror Nights 26 final review. If you're new to this channel, I did sort of a three-tier review of the event. Starting with after the opening weekend, I did a review, and then I did a mid-review on the event, and then now we're to the final review, which I'm going to do my house rankings, my street rankings. I know it's a little late and we're in November. Decide I give you guys a little break and then give you guys a little treat kind of in mid-November. So without further ado, let's get to the review. Starting with houses, number 9 should be no surprise. It is Chance's house. It's been so long I'm forgetting the names of these houses. What's it called again? Lunatics Playground. Yeah, there we go. AKA Chance's house, the icon of the event. This is her house. Poor execute. I mean, I can't dive into detail. Like everybody has already said it. The 3D was very poor. The idea was poor. You know, they tried to say in the press release about the house switching back and forth when you hear the music and stuff. It made absolutely no sense, and I tell you, every time I went through, I tried to understand certain things about this house. None of it made sense. It was a bunch of just random characters, random masks, a lot of bad paint jobs, and the 3D just wasn't even that excellent, to tell you the truth. Sorry, that's why it comes in number 9 for me. Number 8 is sort of a controversial one, number 8, number 7. For me, number 8 is The Exorcist. And I know a lot of people are going to flack me for that because a lot of people I talked to really enjoyed this house. I just never understood what was so special about it. I think the idea was there. I think every bedroom scene was very, very cool and elaborate, like the levitation scene and the head spinning scene. But to me, it's just overall, this house did not work. When you walk into the house, you didn't get the general idea that you were in a big house. It's just like a hallway. You never saw stairs except for the spider crawl scene, and that was just executed very poorly. I can't believe how poorly done it was, considering when we had a house a couple years ago called Dead End, and they actually had a staircase and they had like an animatronic that kind of rolled down the stairs. I couldn't believe that we couldn't get the same effect, especially how Hollywood has their effect with the spider crawl scene, which looks, if you don't believe me, definitely check out Hollywood's version of these houses and you'll definitely see clear difference in the design form. How I like a lot of this stuff that they did there over the stuff that we did here in a lot of the houses. Everything as far as the house, not good. Not good. Number 7 for me is a controversial one as well because a lot of people really enjoyed this one. So much because I heard the saying all throughout the month of the event, or all throughout the event. I kept hearing people quote this all the time. And that is number 7 to be Ghost Town. Sorry to say this yet again, Ghost Town for me was just executed house on the design form well. I mean, mind-blowing, some of the sets, especially the big room, if you know what I'm talking about, the large saloon room, the saloon, the piano scare, all that stuff was there. But I felt like the house itself was just not there. I wanted something to be of a ghost town, to be serious, to be scary, and it felt too comical. It just seemed like two ideas that didn't match up well. Like I said, the scares were so-so. The house was designed well, but just what killed it for me is that the e-prompts and the sounds they made, and just, I don't know, it just killed the house overall for me. Number 6 is Krampus. There's no beating around the bush. This house started off particularly well. It was a front runner for a while. I mean, like in my top 4 houses, it was up there. And then every time I kind of went through this house, I saw more changes, And then there was just missing gaps here and there, and just so many problems with this house. And you didn't have Krampus. I still don't understand how you have stilt walkers. How do you do a house without Krampus himself coming out for a scare? I don't understand the design of this house particularly. I don't get if we're supposed to come after the movie, during the movie, before the movie, because you hear quotes from the characters from the movie, but yet they're not in the scene. There's no one from the movie except for one victim up in the attic, so I'm still confused as to who that is. I mean, and then when you get to like the final scene before you go to Krampus' lair, you hear a quote from the movie, "Merry Christmas, Mother. Merry Christmas, Mother," and there's like a shotgun noise. And I'm wondering, was there supposed to be a human in there with the shotgun, or just that was just house audio? Now, I really enjoyed this house in the beginning of the run. I wish I kind of just kept the memories from the earlier, run-throughs and not some of the later stuff, especially the last final weekends that I went down. The house was just absolutely horrible. This house, it just seemed like there was so much that still needed to be done, that they were still constantly every week after week like tweaking and upgrading, adding so much different stuff here and there. Felt like the house was not kind of done by opening weekend, but that's just a theory of mine. On to number 5, like I said, it is American Horror Story. Now, a lot of people are going to kill me about this because this was kind of their number 1 house. For me, it just wasn't. I'm sort of a fan of the show, sort of not. So I've seen like the first 3 seasons and about halfway through season 4, and I just kind of stopped. I didn't care about that season. I was very bored about that season. The way this house kind of transfers around is that the first season, the murder house is in the house. Then you have Freak Show, and you have Hotel. I would have loved to see the Coven because we still have not had a witch house. And the asylum would have been very, graphic and intense. Certain parts of this house is good, and certain parts of the house I felt were kind of just there because of the show, and they didn't add any value. And there's one particular scene I'm gonna point to, was on the Freak Show scene where you get the character pop out, I guess it's Twisty, before he puts on the clown mask or whatever, and he goes, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." That whole scene was just kind of felt like a waste, especially after you already knew what was coming and you went through that scene. It's like, well, nothing's changed here. He's gonna pop out and say this stupid cue. Oh, there he is. And there's nothing interesting going on in that scene. If you watch Hollywood's version, better, I think, use of that scene than what we did with it. Overall, I think the house was very solid. I just think it just needed to be tightened up a little bit, and some of the scenes need to have a little bit more design put into them, particularly like the murder house. It just kind of felt like a mishmash of like rooms. It didn't feel like you were actually going into this murder house. If you watch Hollywood's version, I like the way they kind of did the murder house portion over ours. Once again, it's a common theme that I'm going to say that Hollywood did a little bit better of a design. The house had some good scares. I pretty much enjoyed it every time I went through, but it's right there in the middle. That's why it's number 5 for me. Number 4 for me, it flip-flopped a lot. Earlier in the run, I didn't particularly enjoy this because of the lighting, because of the way the house was set up. I think they improved it over time. I know a lot of people kind of harper on what they did to the house after a little while. For me, number 4 is Tombs of the Ancients. Yes, this house had everything jam-packed into a tent that you want. Design-wise, it was very close, claustrophobic. Monsters and creatures and everything. Pretty much you had everything in this house. It was scary. It was, a lot of cool stuff to look at when you could see it. So that's why I'm kind of glad they updated the lighting, especially after the first weekend. They made it a little bit brighter. I know some people harp on that, but I want to see what I'm looking at. I want to see what's scaring me. I don't want to just see something kind of dark in the dark and say like, oh, there's something there, but I can't tell what it is. The only knocks I think I have about it is sort of like the cheap scare in the beginning with the drop doors. I already hate drop doors, and then the fact that they drop and there's nothing behind them, it's just a cheap scare. So, Tomb of the Ancients, bravo, very good job. Number 4 for me. Number 3 for me is sort of a shocker too. A lot of people just don't particularly like this house. I know a lot of people put it like number 8, number 9 on their list. I don't get it personally. If you watch most of the vlogs that I tried to do during Horror Nights, you saw that I went through this house multiple times. You can go through the house with like no one in front of you and no one behind you if you just do it multiple times. That experience pushed this house well above everything else. It pushed it to number 3 for me. That is Texas Chainsaw Massacre. What can I say about this house? It had pretty much everything I wanted in the house. I was a little fearful about it having chainsaws in a tent house since we couldn't do it in a soundstage and have real chainsaws. I never once noticed about the chainsaws being kind of fake or anything. I think when you hit this house and it was on point, every scene, every Leatherface kind of had some kind of different technique about their scare. The window scares, which was really cool, where he would jam on the window and shoot sparks, or Sparky as you want to call him. That scene was just particularly awesome to see done in the house. And then, it actually had some kind of show scenes in the house, which Horror Nights has kind of moved on past show scenes. I mean, there are occasionally scenes where they're killing a victim, but this one actually kind of made it feel like you were in an actual movie or something was going on around you instead of to you in a weird way. And I know some people, I guess, just did not like having to have them do show scenes in the house. I particularly enjoy it. It was a cool throwback to the old Horror Nights and how we had kind of these show scenes and not just constant scares. Particularly like the opening hallway with the door, the sliding door, and you would get, the victim come out and then Leatherface would come up behind him and hit him and then slam on the door. That was just awesome to like be able to see that whole scene. And then the finale scene with the girl coming out and jumping out the window, and then the fact that the house doesn't end. You go outside and there's even more to this house. I don't understand, like I said, I don't understand the hate for this house. I really enjoyed it every time I went through. I had a blast. I got really scared in certain parts of this house. Bravo to the cast. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is number 3 for me. Number 2 for me is, without a doubt, was a hard choice to make. Number 1 and number 2, they flip-flop, and I tried to go through and do pros and cons about each one and tried to justify one over the other. I could not kind of rank these two. These two were so neck and neck. Number 2 is Halloween Hell Comes to Haddonfield. It's a hard choice to make. I really enjoyed the house. Every time I went through, there was something kind of new that I figured out or something cool that I looked at. The Myers jumping out, they were just scary. And the variety of Myers that we got, like, aka Dumpster Mike and Hallway Locker Mike and Sauna Mike and all these different mics that we got, they were all, great on their own. They all had great scares. Wish we could have had a little bit more variety as far as the victims and having more people be in the house. That just wasn't the case. It was a lot of Myers. Every time you turn around, Mike. I'm guessing that's the overall fear of Myers, is that he's the boogeyman, he's everywhere. But when you go through a house and you just see there's 15 Myers and 3 or 4 regular victims, it kind of gets played out over time. Well, that's why it's number 2 for me. I still enjoyed the house. It doesn't make that it's a bad house because it's number 2. But that leaves us to number 1, and number 1 can only be The Walking Dead. Who would have knew? Who would have knew that, before opening weekend, that I would be sitting here saying The Walking Dead is my number 1 house of Horror Nights 26. Not me. I didn't see this one coming. Cast is on point, scares are on point, design-wise is on point. There's so many details in this house, so many details. If you went through multiple times, there was always stuff that you would never notice you know, like Daryl's crossbow, the bike. Lucille was in the house. You know, nothing really bad about this house, other than it not having human characters, but we've kind of known that since The Walking Dead has been at the event, I think since, what, 2012, so that's not really a surprise there. I can't knock this house. There was nothing like really I hated about this house. Every time I went in, there would be people dropping to their knees. There would be people, you know, dragging on my shirt or my book bag. Every single time I went into this house, that happened. Bravo to the cast. Bravo to everybody who worked on this house. Great job. Solid. On to the scare zones, and I'm going to run through these kind of quick. I don't want this video to be, you know, 30 minutes of me doing a review for Halloween Horror Nights 26. Number 5 for me is Survive or Die. What can I say about the zone? Dark, a lot of noises, didn't make much sense kind of on a set wise. They added motorcycles a little later on. Felt kind of like something that didn't need to be there, and the four-wheeler that moved around made no kind of sense. It didn't do any purpose. It had no kind of purpose in it, but they couldn't do the purge, so they came up with this, and I don't get why they just still couldn't do the purge but call it something else. This is kind of like a cheaper knockoff of the purge in a way. I like the idea of the zone, but I just felt it wasn't executed very well. Number 4 for me is Chance in Hell. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, The Chance in Hell. The zone it grew on me a little bit more. I still don't think it was particularly that great, but I thought the characters in the zone made it a little bit better than what it was, and you know, Chance herself, certain chances made the zone better than others. I still think it was a bad area for it. I think the other stages that didn't have any particular reason to be there, it just felt really, really dumb. Number 3 for me is Dead Man's Wharf. Great zone. Love the atmosphere, love the lighting, love the sounds, love the lightning. So many things I loved about the zone. The only knock I think I have to give about the zone is that it just was never particularly scary to me. The crew, they did their job as far as like staying in character and working on the ship, and sometimes you would catch them staring at the ship, and you can really feel the characters kind of have this kind of deep-seated, I don't know, like depression and longing to be on the ship and to go wherever their journey was going. But everything as far as with this zone, I think was designed well. I loved everything about it, except for it just wasn't really scary to me. Number 2 for me is Banshee's Lair, or Lair of the Banshees. I don't even know what the name is since they changed it so many times. I'm just gonna say Banshee's Lair, or Lair of the Banshees. I think I'm just gonna say Lair of the Banshees. Great zone. It was changed quite a little bit from opening weekend. Some of the makeup was done, you know, even better. Some of it was done, I think, a little bit less. I think the Banshees looked better in the opening weekend than they did later on with this whole black thing around their mouth. It just didn't look good. I don't think it looked good. Kudos to the makeup on the druids, I guess I call them druids, and the tiger people. Those were all excellent. They looked good. Every time I looked at them, I was like, whoa, I just want to, like, you know, stand here and stare at the makeup on them. The druids looked really cool. They were creepy. You know, the zone itself, it had a lot going for it. I think it was the only zone that was very scary. Love the lighting, love the sound, love the design of this zone. That's why it's number 2 for me. And number 1, I feel like if I didn't put it as number 1, a lot of people would kill me, obviously. It is Vamp 1955. If you go back and watch my hype list video, you'll see the comparison that I said this zone, I think, was like number 4, number 5 for me, because I just didn't get the theming of it. I didn't like the idea of it, you know, I love the 50s, but vampires, and it really sounded like weird to me on paper in the synopsis. But once you got there and you experienced and you kind of saw all the different characters in the zone had so many standout characters. I mean, just unbelievable cast. There was so many little details you would not notice if you didn't go there multiple times and kind of stand around and watch people. Certain people would dance, certain people would have certain scare factors that would work every single time. Certain characters just did random stuff sometimes, and sometimes you would miss a lot of little stuff like characters fighting, characters dancing. You would miss the show scene that they had on the float, which a lot of people I guess did not know that was going to happen, that there was a show scene. So the only thing I could say about the zone, the only knock I think I can give about the zone is that I would have loved for it to be a little bit more on the scare factor. That's my only knock about it, is that I would have wished for the zone to be a little bit more on the scary side and less on the comical, joking and clowning around. But number one for me, like I said, was Vamp 1955. Academy of Villains, I can't believe this show is phenomenal. I could not go, I think, one night of the event without stopping and watching the show, at least from a distance or up close. Phenomenal show, phenomenal crew. You can tell that this was something special. Not only special for Horror Nights, special for the fans, special for Academy of Villains themselves, because they just gave it every single night of this event. They just came out, and every single show they put it out there. There's no way I don't see this coming back for 2017. That's my first prediction, is that we're going to get Academy of Villains back for 2017. So overall, I think the event sort of handled itself well. I think the icon was misused. They gave it so much more in 25 than they did in 26. And considering this is a continuation, you would think it would be on par, or if not bigger or better. And it just wasn't. It was kind of like a step back from 25 in some areas. I think overall, there was a lot of ideas that was tried. I think for 26, there was a lot of ideas of them saying like, let's give this a try. We'll see if it works or not. And there was a lot of times that stuff did not work. So props to them for still trying to update the houses, but also a knock that these houses are not fully ready by the time opening weekend. So there we go. That is my final Horror Nights review on the event. It is now done. It is over. Vamos, toodles, bios con Dios. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, make sure to hit a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We have so many vlogs lined up coming at you, so much more content, especially a lot of the holiday stuff that's going to be starting very, very soon at the parks. We're going to have some of that stuff on the channel. Also, leave down in the comment section what is your final house rankings, or what is your favorite house and your favorite zone. I'd love to know. Obviously, you guys are, you wanted to know my favorites, so I want to know your favorites. Leave it down in the comments section. And until next time, peace.
My turn to play. You won't stand a chance.